sometimes systems that require us to think a lot will fail us in the moment, because not your fault all the times. And that's why afterwards, when we say to ourselves, oh, why didn't I say that? Why didn't I say that? I swore next time I saw him, I was going to say this. And I never, why didn't I do that? Because you couldn't. Before we start, remember to subscribe to this channel so you don't miss any updates, and to like and share. Click the link to download your free guide, your essential guide to solar astrology, and that will really help you to understand solar astrology a little bit better. And you can read about the 12 zodiac signs and their soul-centered meanings in more depth in my book, Soul Astrology, how your rising sign reveals your soul path and life purpose. Okay, so let's begin. Because what we want to do is to stay in that place of consciousness and not reacting. So each one of our reactions is just taking us down a familiar rabbit hole. So every time we react to something like that, it's reinforcing that karmic pattern. So but it's not a case of beating yourself up. It's not a case of, oh God, no, I did it again. I reacted again that way. It's just a case of every time being more aware. And so to just keep, like you said, that's the key to it, is to being in awareness. The actual awareness is who you are. Mm-hmm. The actual awareness is who you are. The reaction is not. But we need to get to a place where we really know that for ourselves and we can really trust that. Because then once you can stay in the place of awareness, the reactions actually just shrivel up and die. Initially, what happens is you catch yourself after you've done it. So that's, for most people who are beginning on this path of self-awareness, you go, oh, I did it again. And then the next time, oh, I did it again. And then the next time, you're in the middle of it and you go, I'm doing it again. And what's happened is you've shifted, your awareness has started to sharpen up a little bit. So you're not just noticing after you did it, but you're noticing in the moment while you're saying it. And you're going, I'm doing this again. But that's good. That's really good, because the awareness now is starting to become the stronger faculty. The awareness is becoming stronger than the reaction to it. And then we become aware in the moment when it's about to happen. And we can go, not going to say that. We can just catch it. Well, the good thing about having Cancer rising is you have a great capacity to just be in the moment, to just sit and just be with everything that's going on, like it being in the eye of the hurricane. You can just sit and go, okay, I noticed that. I noticed that. I noticed that. And I hear what you're saying about the Course of Miracles, about some aspects of it helpful and others there seem to be missing pieces. And the reason for that is because it's intellect. Could you hear yourself as you were talking about forgiveness, talking about it from like a mental understanding of what forgiveness actually is? And the problem with our intellect and our emotions is that when we become emotionally charged, it pulls the plug on the intellect. Has anybody noticed that? We don't have access to the intellect when we're emotionally charged. It's a part of our brain called the amygdala that's responsible for fear, fight, or flight. But in a nutshell, the amygdala's job is to save your life. And there are times when thinking would get you killed. So nature gave the amygdala power over the intellect. So with the amygdala, something only has to be similar enough to something that harmed you in the past or could harm you, and it will spring into action with fear, fight, or flight. The intellect, the distinction with the intellect is it can analyze. Virgos love this. Analyze, think things through, get a finer distinction. So the intellect has got the capacity to be very precise, but it's slow. Precision takes time. Analysis takes time. The amygdala is very vague and often wrong, but it's fast. It's fast. So the amygdala goes, stripy thing, get up the tree. You know, while the intellect is going, stripes. Now, let me see. Is that a zebra or a tiger or the neighbor's cat? Well, what? Yeah, you've been eaten by the tiger by that time. So the amygdala has got the power to go, get out of here, get up the tree, think about it later. And that's why sometimes systems that require us to think a lot will fail us in the moment, because not your fault all the times. And that's why afterwards, when we say to ourselves, oh, why didn't I say that? Why didn't I say that? I swore next time I saw him, I was going to say this. And I never, why didn't I do that? Because you couldn't. So the best thing that works, and Lama Shenpen Hukum describes this a little bit in that book, there's more to dying than death. Because at the time when we're dying, we're probably more flustered than anything else, but we need to really remember what to do. And that the thing to do is to just keep your awareness in your heart. Just if you practice that now, keep your awareness in your heart and notice what's happening. It will, like I said, that process of at first you'll pick up the reaction after you've already reacted. Then it'll shift to, you'll notice in the middle of the reaction. And then it'll shift to, you can pick it up before you actually react. And that's when you can catch it. And if we can stay in the place of observing without judgment, that process of the awareness actually becoming dominant will speed up. And there's no thinking involved. You don't have to try and remember what did the Course in Miracles say about forgiveness. Now, what were those steps I was supposed to? There's no steps to remember. Anything that's supposed to be held in the intellect will be lost when you're emotionally charged, because the amygdala pulls the plug. No, it's not going to have you standing there doing an analysis and getting eaten by a tiger. Get up that tree. Okay, now you're safe. Now you can calm down and think about whatever you want. But the amygdala's done its job, saved your life. So when you've got Moon in Cancer, but you're a Cancer soul, the Moon represents, some astrologers think the Moon represents our most recent past life. So you may have had a recent past life where you had a lot of emotional attachment. And I mean, there's hundreds of thousands of stories. You could have been a mother who lost her children in a war, and it was devastating. And so with our Moon sign, what we tend to do is we tend to push it off to one side. We tend to not want to go there. We don't want to acknowledge our feelings if we've got Moon in Cancer, because they've hurt us so much in the past, in our past lives. So we're kind of born into this life. When it's your Moon sign, we're kind of born into this life with a kind of like, not going there, not touching that with a long pole in this life. And it's an energy that we need to embrace because it is part of who we are. And so exploring what emotions mean to you. Does it mean being too sentimental? Does it mean being overcome by emotions and running up trees and not being able to think rationally? You know, what do emotions mean to you? That's a good exploration, because what's wanting to happen is that spectrum, you know, with the 6 locus that we talked about. They're wanting to get you away from lower sentimental, emotional kind of attachment and into experiencing, through the path of emotions, into experiencing the higher states of consciousness like compassion. Remember to click the link below to download your free guide and learn more about soul astrology. And when you're ready to go deeper, have a look at my book, Soul Astrology: How Your Rising Sign Reveals Your Soul, Path and Life Purpose. That tells you a lot more about the soul purpose of each of the 12 signs. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you love soul astrology, remember to like and share and subscribe to this channel. See you next time.